What's up, guys? It's Cody coming back at you with another video, and today we have kind of a big part to add to the truck. Small part, but big upgrade, I should say. And it's from our good friends over there at Riff Raff. They love to make good parts for these 7.3s. So you guys already know what it is by the title, but we'll get into that in a second. Real quick, I just want to say, if you guys been following me for a long time, you know that I applied to trademark a phrase a while back. Pretty much when I first started doing YouTube videos, I applied to trademark this phrase, so that way if the trademark went through, I would own the rights to that phrase and I could sell merchandise with it, and no one could steal it. And the cool thing about that phrase is it's a very positive, motivational phrase, so it can help me further spread my message on this channel, which is, you know, hard work, chase your goals, you know, be positive in life, but, you know, work to chase your dreams and don't let anybody stop you. And, you know, just try and get what you want, and you can have whatever it is that you do want. And this trademark going through will just allow me to further spread my message by, you know, repping my brand and stuff like that. So I think you guys will like that a lot. So basically, like I said, for those of you guys that have been around and knew that I applied for that trademark, it's just been a waiting game at this point. It takes months for them to even review the application, and it was finally reviewed by an attorney, and I think it was approved by the attorney, basically. So he didn't find anything wrong with it. He didn't find any other conflicting trademarks that would have stopped me from getting it, and he approved it for they approved it to be published for opposition, which basically means if anybody out there thinks that my trademark does interfere with their trademark or is copying their trademark, then they can oppose it, and then it would basically be like court battles and stuff like that. But I don't think that'll happen. If the attorney didn't see a problem with it, I don't see why anybody else would come and say like, no, you're copying mine, because, you know, the attorney didn't see anything wrong with it. So basically, I think that it's just a waiting game for the next 30 days. That's how long the opposition period is. I have 30 days for anybody to try and fight it. And if that doesn't happen, then I believe it gets approved. So that's all. I just want to get that out of the way real quick. Like I said, that's big news for me and for the channel. But anyways, let's get into the new part that we got for the truck. It's been a long time coming getting this part for the truck. So let's go ahead and get out of the box, go over it a little bit, see what kind of tools we're gonna need, and throw it on, and then see if it makes a difference. All right, guys, so here's what we got. Like I said, from our good buddies over there at Riff Raff. This is the high pressure crossover. Many of you guys already know what this is, but for those of you that don't know what it is, it basically, you remove plugs from the heads. You have a plug on each head in the engine, and put this in place, and it allows the high pressure oil to flow through it from head to head more easily, which equalizes the spikes and basically makes the engine idle smoother, run smoother, and allows more oil to get to the 8th injector more easily, which is good for the injectors. So this will help the injectors last longer as well. So like I said, we're gonna throw this on, show you guys what kind of tools we need. But basically, I'll do it before and after for you guys. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell the difference. According to Riff Raff, you want to allow about 25 miles run time, you know, drive time, before you really notice a difference on this, because when you first install it, you're allowing air into the system, and it's going to maybe run actually kind of rough with the air in the system. So you want to install this and then run for about 25 miles to allow all the air to purge out of the system before you really notice a difference. So I have the before already, starting the engine without it, and then I'll go drive around today. I have some errands to run, and later in the afternoon I'll do another startup for you guys with it on, and we'll see if it makes a difference. All right, guys, so first of all, let me show you where this goes. Now, here is your turbo spider, and if you go directly behind the turbo spider, right in there, you can see this plug right here. Let me point out, you can see this plug right here, and directly behind it, this is an electrical plug, and then you have the engine head plug. Let me see if I can get it to focus. That's the plug right there that you want to move on the right side of the turbo and turbo spider. You can see there's no other plugs down there to get confused by on this side. There might be one, maybe more back there, but it's just this one right here. You could see it from up here when you're, you know, not looking at the camera, but right there. That's the one on the right. And then the one on the left, you do have a couple bolts and heads and bolts and plugs and stuff over there. So, you know, behind it over here, you have, I think you have that bolt right there, which goes into the head. It's another plug that looks like the one you're gonna take out. That is not the one you wanna take out. So again, if you're looking at the turbo spider from up here, you want to go between, I believe this is your glow plug relay and your turbo boot, or, you know, one of those boots. And there's going to be a plug right in there. Let's see actually if I can find it with the camera. There it is. That's it right there. Okay, right here up front. So not any of the back ones behind it. You're going to go right here in between all this, next to your air intake heater delete plug if you have one, or your air intake heater if you don't have the plug. And that's it right there, okay? So that's the other one you want to remove on the left side of the head, or the passenger side of the head, I should say. All right, you guys, now in order to move those bolts, those plugs from the heads, you're gonna need either a 16mm socket, or I have a 5/8 deep socket on there. And luckily I have this long swivel head ratchet that I'm gonna be using, but if you just have a regular ratchet that doesn't have a swivel head on it, there is still ways to get it in there, like from behind here, and get it on. And then, you know, you can do it with a regular ratchet. I'm just fortunate enough to have a swivel head, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that plug with that, and then the other one we'll see if we can get it with the same ratchet. But before I remove these plugs, I'm going to take some brake cleaner, or actually some engine bay cleaner, and I'm going to spray around that head, around both heads, and wipe all the grease and dirt and grime around the area away before I remove those plugs. That way when we put the new plugs in, we don't get any crud in the engine head. So let's go ahead and spray those down and wipe them off, and then we'll take the plugs out. All right, so like I said, you can either use a brake cleaner, or I'm going to use this engine degreaser. They'll probably both work pretty good, but I have both in the cab. I'm just going to go with engine degreaser because, well, it's technically more accurate. I'm not cleaning brakes right now. Let's spray down the area around the heads a little bit. There we go. Get the other one. There we go. I got both of them sprayed down. Let me get some gloves on and a rag and get in there and try and clean up the area a little bit around those bolt heads. All right, guys, so we got the areas nice and clean as much as we could. Now let's go ahead and see if we can crack this loose. I think it cracked. Oh yeah, that wasn't hard at all. My long ratchet probably helps, but that cracked right loose, and now it's spinning right out. So. All right, you guys, so we have our first plug out. As you can see right there, the plug is out. Here is our plug. So once I took it out, there's an O-ring on it. Make sure if it sticks to the engine head, you take the O-ring off, because the new ones come with O-rings. You don't want to double stack O-rings. And then I took a rag and cleaned the area up a little bit more. Was real careful to make sure not to get any grime in there. Let's take the other one off, and then we'll be ready to throw the HPX on. All right, guys, so I already cracked the other one loose. Now, this is where I went from, you know, over here from the front. I was able to stick the ratchet in here and get that. It's a deep socket. I was able to get it on there. I'm loosening it now. Let me tell you guys, the longer of a ratchet you guys have, and especially if you can have a long swivel head ratchet like this, I really think it made this job a lot easier, because at one point I did try and use the short ratchet without a swivel head, and it was much more difficult. Still possible, but way easier with one of these long swivel head ratchets. You can get much more crank on it, and you know, you can, like the straight one, you can only go like this much, and over here I can come all the way here and swivel it up and down to get more turn on it, so it'll come out faster. So just a little, you know, tip I recommend. All right, guys, so we got both of the plugs out. So now you're just going to want to separate your fitting from the compression fitting side of the HPX. It's just loose. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Needed 2 hands. So you're just going to take this part out, and this is the adapter that's going to go into the head, and then you'll put the HPX line on those 2 fittings. So let's get those out and put those in. All right, guys, so we got the plug on the driver's side in right there. It's not tightened down yet. It's just in there hand tight. Real quick, I just want to mention, before you put those in, you want to take your finger and get some of the oil from, you don't want to get any of the grime, but you want to get some of the oil from that comes out of the engine head, and put it on your finger, and you want to get it all over this O-ring. You want to put that oil all over this O-ring before you put it in. Oil will probably get on it when you put it in, but it's still just better to take some and put it all over it. That'll keep it from drying out and rotting or anything like that. So do that, and then also it's going to be the same size socket to tighten those new adapters down into the head as it was to take the old ones out. All right, guys, so we got both of our fittings in. There's the one on the driver's side, there's the one on the passenger side. Now your high pressure crossover tube is basically going to go like this, where the curve is coming towards you. Okay, so you're going to have a double curve over here on the driver's side, and then just one curve over here on the passenger side. And when it goes in, you want to imagine it coming towards you and around the turbo. So that's how that goes. Let's put that in, tighten down these compression fittings. So let's go ahead and get that on, and I'll tell you guys what size wrenches it is, or I'll just use 2 crescent wrenches. All right, you guys, so that was pretty much it for the install. Now, putting that tube on, and well, putting the tube on itself was easy, but connecting and tightening the compression fittings down was probably definitely the hardest part. Definitely it was probably the hardest part of this install, was tightening down those compression fittings, but we got it on. Let me go ahead and show you what we got going on in here. So there is the driver's side, and here is the passenger side. Now, as you can see, the fittings look pretty clean. What I did was, after I tightened everything down and got it all done, I went back and sprayed down the fittings with the engine degreaser again, because when you start it up and run it and stuff, you want to be able to see if there's any oil leaks coming out of there. So they're going to be covered in oil when you're done installing them, so clean them up afterwards, then you could see if there's any oil leaks when you drive it. Now, I was able to tighten them down from the standing on the tires on the driver's side and passenger side, which made it much easier. Originally, I was trying to do it on my knees in here in the engine bay, and that was just really uncomfortable, but I was able to do it from standing on top of the tires on each side. And then I definitely recommend using an 11/16 wrench. And then your 5/8 is, like I said, the adapter that went into the engine block, and the compression fitting side is 11/16. So it was much easier using an 11/16 wrench to tighten down the compression fitting than a crescent wrench, which is what I was originally trying to do it with, and that was just not working. So yeah, 11/16 tightens down the compression fittings on both sides. You can stand on the tires, it's much easier, and the 5/8 will back it up. You just tighten it all the way with the 11/16, and then try and get the 5/8 on the bottom and the 11/16 on top to get like the final tightens, you know what I mean, to really snug it down. So, and then clean them up with the engine degreaser. And then, like I said, now I'll run my errands for the rest of the day, drive around. I'll put at least 25 miles because I got to drive kind of far today. And then I'll show you guys the before and after, and we'll check for leaks, and then that'll pretty much be it. And you guys can see if you hear a difference and decide if you guys want to go with it. So, of course, it was Riff Raff that gave me that piece. Riff Raff, high pressure crossover, easy to find online. It was $50 on their website. I believe it was free shipping, and it got to my house in like 2 or 3 days. So shipping was pretty fast too, so that's pretty cool. So all right, you guys, so like I said, I'm going to run my errands for the day, drive around, and then I'll show you guys the before and after. So for me, it's going to be all day. For you guys, it's just going to be another minute. But real quick, if you're new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, join the 7-3 community, leave a comment down below what you thought about this video. You know, get a conversation going. I like to talk to people that have these kinds of trucks. Suggest to me what's the next upgrade you think I should do. And if you've done this upgrade, how'd you like it? And then that's pretty much it. Let's get into the before and after. All right, you guys, so we put about 20 miles on the truck. It was earlier in the day that I was doing the other part of the video, so now it's a few hours later. But we put about 20 miles on the truck. They recommend about 25 to get all the air out. But I think after 20 miles, all the air should be out. I don't know for sure yet how much you're going to be able to tell on the camera. I'll be able to tell more when I edit this and make it a before and after. But in person, I definitely think I could tell a difference on how quiet this thing is. And when I was driving after about 10 miles, I noticed that it was more smooth, like accelerating, and the truck didn't like bounce as much in the cab. It definitely, I noticed a difference. Not sure how much you'll be able to notice a difference in the video, but I could tell a difference on the startup. The engine idles much quieter, starts more quieter, and it runs a little smoother too. So definitely notice a difference. But the main thing is going to be the injector, you know, the life of the injectors. We're going to be helping the injectors last longer, get more oil to them. As far as performance goes, it might not make a huge difference, but we want to get as much oil and fuel to the injectors as possible so they can last as long as possible. I'm not a super smart tech on injectors. I know they use both oil and fuel. I don't know much about them, but we want to get as much oil and fuel to them as we can, because the 8th injector seems to get starved, and that's the one that usually goes out first because it doesn't get enough fuel / oil. So that's why we've done some mods to help with that. Like, we did already do the fuel pressure spring, which should help more fuel get to the injectors. I do still have those high flow CVD fittings from Riff Raff. I really need a full day dedicated to installing them because I got to take the turbo spider out and stuff. So I've had those for a long time, just haven't had the time to put them in, but we have those. So the fuel pressure spring and the CVD fittings will help more fuel get to the injectors. The high pressure crossover line helps more oil get to the both heads into the injectors, and also eliminates the high spikes from the high pressure oil. So little things like that just help the truck last longer, get more longevity out of it, make it more reliable. That's what we want, especially since it's my daily. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm done with the rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.